movies aren't always about laughing and cheering. Sometimes it's our tears that seal the deal when it comes to connecting with the characters. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Gwen Stacy. Still can't get over that scene. Anyway, we've had enough Spidey content for now, so I'm going back to my all-time favorites, the X-Men. You know what? There are lots of moments in this franchise that would put even the freaking Titanic to shame. Don't believe me? Fine. I'll prove it to you with my top 10 saddest X-Men movie scenes. You better keep those tissues handy. Yep, we're kicking off this list with the typical knife in the back betrayal, or should I say dart in the back. Anyway, jokes aside, this scene starts off as a wholesome moment when Mystique selflessly sacrifices herself for Magneto when one of the soldiers tries to shoot him with the anti-mutant serum. It was a tremendous display of loyalty that showed us how much Mystique really cared for Erik, especially considering that we've already seen their bond grow throughout the OG trilogy. Well, that was until he decides to let go of her because
You're not one of us anymore.
the fact that he so casually brushed aside his most loyal accomplice as if she was a chunk of pineapple on a slice of pizza just goes on to show how cold and calculating Marvel's greatest villain really is. I mean, come on, dude. She put herself in the firing line for you, and this is how you repay her? Even my ex isn't that heartless.
It's a shame. She was so beautiful.
Prequel movies can go either way, but this one was definitely a strong upgrade from the franchise's previous offering. Now, we all know that Professor X and Magneto are foes for life, but the ending of this movie really hits us hard, especially if you consider how much of it was focused on developing their friendship. From Charles taking Erik in, to helping him overcome his trauma, to harnessing his true potential, we were rooting for this bromance all the way. And then, it all goes to shit. The final battle was a bit chaotic, but nothing hits us in the feels harder than when Magneto accidentally deflected the bullet that would permanently paralyzed Charles's legs. Their last true moment of affection turned out to be a mutual acceptance of their contrasting visions, and it totally broke our hearts to see their friendship crumble away over misguided propaganda. Screw you, naval officers, you ruined a great friendship.
I want you by my side. We're brothers, you and I.
No, we were rather hoping you would take us all the way.
That's a 6-hour drive.
That will give us plenty of time to talk.
Come on, admit it. You definitely had something in your eyes during this scene, and it wasn't the dirt from Bully Maguire. Darwin was a likable character, owing to his nice guy persona and friendly nature. He was also one of the more focused and positive new recruits, but of course, there just had to be some extra drama. So the writers decided, hey, the audience might actually like this guy. Let's kill him in the most savage way possible. After their escape plan goes horribly wrong, Alex's laser beam is harnessed into a little ball by Shaw, who then casually slips it into Darwin's mouth as if he's giving him some candy. But the most emotional moment is the actual death. We see the poor guy struggling to survive the laser blast within his body, and it ends with him reaching out to us for some sympathy just before he explodes in front of all of his friends. Man, I can't even imagine how hard this must have been on Alex. That shit stays with you for life. Wade Wilson is a bad guy, like legit bad guy. He's unethical, shady, violent, immoral, and criminally funny. Even for a guy like him, there's a girl for whom he can say,
Your crazy matches my crazy.
So Wade finally finds his calling, and we know Vanessa and Wade are like really into each other, and they look so cute and happy together. But as fate would have it, bad people have the worst timing. Their cozy little apartment is attacked just when they're thinking of naming their baby, and bam, Deadpool time starts. He gets all of them with crazy action, but one slips away and goes straight in for Vanessa. In a fraction of a second, Vanessa dies, and with her, Deadpool's whole world. It's so tragic and painful to see a broken, hateful Wade going after them, and then he just suddenly loses his will to live. He commits suicide, but the curse lives on. Deadpool can't die, so he's forced to live in a world without Vanessa. It's one thing to mourn the death of your lover, and another to be killed off by her when she comes back to life. Poor Scott Summers never really got the kind of character development that he needed, partially thanks to Wolverine's immediate success with the fans. It was bad enough that he had to deal with Jean's death at the end of the previous movie, but then even when he gained some respite by meeting the revived version of her, she just turns out to be the Phoenix, and we all know how that encounter usually ends. No, seriously, even we as the audience feel happy for them at first, but then they engage in the pretty literal kiss of death, and we see something weird happening with Cyclops. Yeah, that's just a sign telling us he's gonna freaking explode. The worst part is, we don't see the actual death happen, so we must leave it to our imagination to visualize how the poor lover boy must have met his end.
I'm not giving this on you, Jean. This is what family does. We take care of each other. You're my family, Jean. No matter what.
This was a super rough one to digest. Jennifer Lawrence had given us a fresh take on Mystique and became an instant fan favorite as the franchise tried to redeem itself after all of its continuity issues. But then to see her die right in the beginning of Dark Phoenix was a pill too bitter to swallow. She didn't even fight Jean or anything. She was just trying to calm her down so that Phoenix wouldn't take over. But then one telekinetic blast later, the blue shapeshifter gets impaled on a broken piece of wood and dies in a pretty casual manner, if you ask me. I mean, she's such an iconic character, so to kill her off with such a horribly directed scene, that just didn't sit right with me. I know that this movie sucks on a lot of levels, but this moment in particular really sets it in stone. It wasn't just sad because we lost such an important character, but also because of the way her death was handled.
You killed the man you loved because you couldn't control your power. No, stop it!
That's it.
Yeah, okay, I think the entries are gonna get just a little predictable now. Charles Xavier is pretty much the X-Men boss man, so to see him getting disintegrated by the Phoenix was probably one of the most heart-wrenching scenes in the entire franchise. He starts off on a very concerned and noble note as he tries to convince Jean to fight her darker alter ego, and it probably doesn't help that Magneto's not really giving him much support, is he? Of course, shit goes very south and she unleashes her powers to give Charles and the audience a little teaser of what we're gonna see 12 years later in Infinity War. The process begins slowly as we notice tiny chunks of what we thought was the most powerful mutant vanish, and then we go from 0 to 100 real quick when he's obliterated in front of his oldest frenemy and his newest accomplice. That little smile he gave Wolverine just before his disintegration sent chills down everyone's spines, and it was a bit too hard to get over. Yup, if you thought Professor X's death was rough, then you definitely weren't ready for this one. The Phoenix has pretty much gone batshit crazy as it tries to destroy everything in its path, and the only one capable of stopping this is our one and only Wolverine. His healing powers are tested to their limit as he tries to get to Jean and convince her to stop this madness, but it's too late for her, unfortunately. Yeah, whatever hope he had for them two to get together, especially with Scott out of the picture, is crushed when he mournfully ends her life with the same claws that turned him into a savage monster. Oh man, not only was this moment sad and tragic, but it also was so dark and poetic that you'd almost forgot that this is supposed to be a comic book movie. It was the most emotionally vulnerable position we'd ever seen Logan in, and it sure hits hard when we see him holding onto Jean's dead body.
I love you.
Yeah, I don't know if you quite remember this scene, but if you watch it again, I'm sure you'll agree to it being this high on the list. Erik's always been a troubled character right from his childhood, so it was expected to see him tilt over to the dark side. I mean, Darth Vader would have been proud of his transition too, but I guess he's kind of justified for killing a bunch of random cops who decide to ruin his quiet family life. The worst part is that the idiot who fires an arrow at his wife and kid actually did it by accident, and it only took one stroke to kill the both of them. Dude, if I was in his place, I'm pretty sure I would have done the same and murdered everyone within sight. This scene does a tremendous job of mixing anger and sadness so well together that even you as the audience are conflicted over what to make of the situation. This was some brilliant directing, and it evokes some devastating emotions.
This is what I am.
It just couldn't have been any other entry. It just had to be Logan. A character as iconic as the freaking Wolverine deserved to go out on a high. And while you might think that Logan was a very dark and depressing movie, I couldn't think of a better way to bid farewell to this legend. If you think about it, the whole movie focuses on themes of loneliness and mortality, so it was kind of building up to Logan's eventual death. The fact that he was killed by his own clone just added more artistic integrity in symbolizing his past actions to manifest into his tragic demise. Of course, the real tear-jerking moment is seeing him bid farewell to X-23 after they finally cemented their bond as father and daughter. Dear God. I'm crying just as I'm thinking about it. You know what? I'm gonna say it. This is right up there with the likes of Natasha Romanoff and Tony Stark. I don't think any other superhero's demise ever hit me as hard as this one. And there you go, those are my top 10 saddest X-Men moments. I know that there are loads more entries to cover on this topic, but I guess you gotta save your tears for another day. Hey, I'm hunting here, okay? That dad joke was totally justified, right? Anyway, let me know in the comments or on my socials if you want me to cover another volume. Also, like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you want to keep up with all my latest videos. My Patreon link's in the description too if you want me to cover something exclusive for you. Alright then, I'll catch you later.